It is difficult to stand in spaces that were not designed for me, spaces that were not constructed for people that look like me, spaces that scream, "You do not belong here," spaces that feel like sandpaper against my blackness, coarse, rough, painful, and uneasy, spaces that are void of signs, but still I can see them hanging in a not so distant memory, signs that separated water fountains and restaurants, blatantly reminding people that these spaces were not made for them. And although the signs are no longer there, the architecture and atmosphere is constructed in such a way that I know and we know that these are not our spaces. We are simply standing in borrowed time to entertain the master's masses. It is difficult to stand in these spaces and be me, fully me, code switching vernacular to make you feel comfortable. Why does my life have to dress itself in discomfort for you to be at ease? Why does my skin threaten you in these spaces? Why does my hair have to look a certain way to stand in these spaces? These are spaces that I no longer desire to reside in. I don't enjoy these spaces. I don't want to subject myself to these spaces. Then I am reminded as I stand in these spaces and I see the faces of two little black girls watching us perform in awe because we are people with kinky hair like theirs and skin that looks like theirs and lips that look like theirs, standing in these spaces designed in a way that have spoken to them at an early age, reminding them that some spaces just ain't for your kind. You see, that is why I am in these spaces. For every black person that surveyed a room to see if anyone looked like them in these spaces. I remember those that stood in spaces not designed for them, that marched on roads not paved for them, that sat in seats on buses not earmarked for them, that sat down at counters and endured the humiliation of sitting in spaces not designed for them, so that one day I too could stand in these spaces. That is why I'm in these spaces. It is for everyone that came before me and sat in these spaces that made them feel ill at ease, that sipped water at the colored only fountains, that stood in these spaces that made them uneasy, that walked into integrated schools and knew that they were one of nine. That is why I stand in spaces that makes me uncomfortable, speaking boldly against injustice, even while you sit down staring at me and you feel uncomfortable. You cannot unsee me. In this space, I belong. In this space, we are here and we belong here in this space.